Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Seen&Heard, our live show podcast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today we have a special guest with many business hats. So we are looking forward, just as you are, uh, anticipating which of those he'll present to us today. Hello, Filip.
Hi guys, thank you for welcoming me in your podcast. Uh, Edita,
Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
sure. I'll be going very briefly and kind of in a nutshell. What I do nowadays is actually helping and supporting businesses to grow and scale internationally. We have in our portfolio 12 business verticals. We were joking around that in our pre-show. And yeah, point is that clients and customers with whom we are working with are coming to our pipeline, and we define and create our overall strategy to help them, guide them, support them in their international and internationalization effort. We are actively now working on 11 markets. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Luckily, with the infrastructure we have in our portfolio, that is manageable. Other way around, it would be a little bit challenging. But after 16 plus years of entrepreneurship, we build the ecosystem that can actually support that.
Okay, great. There is something about dozen everything, dozen verticals, dozen markets. Okay. You say it. You said it was 16 years in the making, but how did it actually start? How did you start with an international market? Which way did you go?
Yeah, sure, and that's very interesting, and it will be for sure for Edita, simply for her location. When I started initially with internationalization, surely we started from Croatia, but my first point was UK. We opened there in London a subsidiary, especially for our growth marketing agency, and from there we were expanding the effort on even wider market. After UK, we went to United States, Canada, and expanded even further. Primarily, for me, when we started internationalization, the idea was to build a trustworthy relationship and partnership with local business owners, so we can afterwards easier from the infrastructural standpoint help and support our endeavor, and also help and support our friends, colleagues, clients, partners. So that is the way it started. And yeah, actively in internationalization from the company formation, it was, I think, roughly 2012 2013 when we started very strongly expanding our effort on the international market. Yeah.
How did you actually start? You're in Croatia, you're at home, and you basically know how it looks like. And then you go to UK, and everything is new. What is the process to learn how things work there, or on every new market? But let's say the first one.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of easier, simply due to the background and everything. Because I'm from tech industry, from the IT, we were always very focused on remote work. From the day one we started our business, because my first company was an MSP provider, and we already had some of the international clients. And for us, remote work and Zoom calls, online conversations were pretty much day-to-day stuff. And that is in the end the way we started expanding the network. I know that a bunch of companies practically started expanding their effort internationally when COVID hit. People then in that respectable moment had a tendency to focus more and rely on online communication. But for us, that was something from first day. So it was pretty much straightforward. I built strategic alliances and partnerships in the UK, and that was very helpful and supportive for our future growth and the expansion.
Yeah, but I remember also when I was in IT, when COVID hit and everybody said, "Oh, we need to work with this Zoom and remote. How could we do this?" Well, it's how I usually do it, so it's nothing special. So, but people got really used to it very quick, so it's nothing special. You can work with the rest of the world without problem now, and you don't have to travel that much.
Especially in the expertise-based world, because it doesn't simply require your physical presence, so it's much more easier for sure.
Was there any specific reason you chose the UK as the first market?
The reason for me at that point was pretty much straightforward. We already had some communications and conversations with the partners with whom we were working with, and I saw the overall growth potential in terms of market, and especially in the industry where we were. It was kind of a natural place to be. Also, that helped us and supported us in terms of speeding up the process of internationalization towards the US market. At that time, it was much more easier to expand from UK as a UK company, opposite of some company from Croatia. Today, it's heavily different in the terms, more open and everything, but at that time it was much easier, and that was the reason why I have strategically decided to go down that road.
Okay, so I guess there was some visibility and trust involved there.
Exactly.
What about language? Of course, I'm curious about that. Did you choose the UK because of your knowledge of English? Were any of your business partners scared of talking to the UK partners?
Luckily, no. Simply due to the previous experience, being a system engineer and an IT guy, English is something what you practice on a daily basis. If nothing else, then documentation. So it helps a lot.
What would you tell someone who is maybe on a lower level of English and they're eyeing foreign markets, but they're afraid? I might sound stupid. I might not know the right words.
Sure, I'll give the immediate example of mine and direct example. The component and key element where I was struggling with was actually casual conversation. And what I did at the time is practicing English with my teacher back then. Because from the technical standpoint and business conversation, it just went in a jiffy. It was a no-brainer. But casual conversation was something else, and for me, a little bit challenging. No matter, we were learning English from when we were kids and everything else, but still, you lack the practice. And that is the reason why I was nurturing that component in the process, especially if you want to become a local guy somewhere. That is definitely helpful and supportive in something what I would always advise, even if the individual is good at specific language. Actually, training a language and having consistency and continuity helps in the momentum and in the end overall self-esteem, because there are respectable cases when you go a little bit deeper into conversation and you are missing the words. So it helps for sure. So definitely people who are having tendency to go international, grow their business and expand their business in the international market, especially English speaking area or any other language, definitely do engage with professionals who can actually help you, support you in the path.
Thank you for that. I think we should train in our first language as well, our communication skills.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned casual conversation, which is interesting here for networking. How did that look? The training of small talk and finding those old connections to feel comfortable with people.
It was fun for me specifically, especially in the UK, due to the tradition. I am playing billiard, pool, and snooker for the past 20 years. So I had an immediate topic and conversation starter. So it was a blast. Plus, 7+, almost now 8 years ago, I've started my own custom snooker cube production. So it was pretty much mind-blowing for the individuals in whom I was speaking with. And it's cool because one cool detail from some of the conversations, I was speaking with the guy who is in the banking sector, heavy involved in M&A, investments, and similar. And he is very passionate about snooker. So what I did, I simply took one of my snooker cue pieces and sent away to the UK as a gift. So a very cool conversation starter with tangible a product in hand. So it was very cool, very cool.
That's nice. So find something in common.
Exactly.
What I hear a lot, and I think Darko will agree, is British TV shows. That people who come from Croatia normally know all of the old classic sitcoms. So that's a conversation point.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, I'm quite sure that you have very similar experiences. People from the UK know quite a bunch about Croatia, Croatian people, the culture, and a lot of them were actually visiting Croatia, not only once, but in continuity through the years. So it is also very good in terms of conversation starter and just chit chat and casual talk.
At least something to start with. What is it? What do you start talking about casually when there is no topic that you connect, like snooker or billiard? I don't know. In the US, snooker is not that popular. I guess billiard perhaps, but what do you start then with? Do you try to find out what they are interested in, or how does it look like?
Sure. Kind of generally, if we are talking about some kind of introduction, the first time conversation with the individual, I'll always try to explore the things they're gravitating towards too, and what are their preferences and things that they like and similar. So I'm exploring their passions, and upon that, build the narrative and the conversation. That definitely helps for the conversation to be more fluent, easier, and casual by default, because you both know there are people who are more open, like three of us, and people who are a little bit more closed in terms of conversations, even having a tendency to be even sometimes overly formal. So that definitely helps a lot and builds the momentum of conversation. Sometimes you'll be the one who is navigating the conversation, but I'm fine with that simply due to the experience and generally my style. So for me, it was kind of a little bit easier, but for those who are not necessarily so active in the international conversation, definitely do advise to connect on the topic and passion level. That brings crazy amount of interesting things, and in the end helps a lot in the conversation overall.
And do you see any differences culturally across the world, because you are on so many different markets, and how people actually start with conversation? Because I would say, at least here in Croatia and around here, we tend to go, okay, let's do business, let's talk business more or less from the start. And somewhere else, it's more, oh, how was your day? Oh, you have such nice headphones, they're really nice. And and you need to get the ball rolling towards the business.
It's very different. As said in the earlier stage of our conversation, we are actively working on the labor market, so it's interesting because you are picking up various information, insights, and details from the cultural standpoint and culture-wise. But generally, for example, if we would emphasize maybe UK and compare to United States and Canada, it's very interesting because people from UK, at least that is my experience, are very casual conversation focused, especially people who are somewhere between 36, 37 plus in terms of age. Casual simply due to the experience, previous experience and life experience they have overall. Surely it is always dependent on the individual. Some people are focused only and solely on business and business conversations. Somebody is more relaxed and more casual. But my conversations with people from the UK were very cool, simply due to all the topics and similarities, things that we have objectively in common. In United States, I can say even better. And I definitely do like people for sure from Canada, because they're a very interesting kind of mix in terms of culture. When we are talking about business, very business focused and straightforward, like people from the United States, and having those casual tendencies and more relaxed in conversation like us Croatians and even people from the UK. So dependent on the individual in terms of mindset. Are they introverts, extroverts, etc., etc.? But generally, all the conversations I had were primarily with the entrepreneurs, and I had a blast. It was a great conversation, and nowadays we have very, very good relationship with all these people.
We have one viewer who's saying hello, so we're saying hello back. Thank you for letting us know that you're watching. Tanmay, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Do you have, how many countries have you mentioned?
11 plus. Sometimes I cannot even count them, because it always happens ad hoc that we have something somewhere, something about which I forgot on the go. So
something new.
Yeah.
Is English in all of them primary language?
No, but all people do speak English, and very, very fluently, which is good, because I had one, Darko, you know that I think that I shared that with you in some of our previous conversations. Majority of my family from the father side are entire life in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. And when I was a kid, I had a great opportunity to be on summer vacation anywhere else than Croatia. But no, I simply wanted to be here, playing football with my friends, etc., and never learned German language. But that is, for example, something what would be extremely supportive for what we are doing. But in parallel, I don't have a struggle nor a problem speaking nor collaborating with people from German language speaking areas. But that is only one nitty-gritty detail where I'm a little bit angry at myself. I didn't practice simply due to the opportunity I had. Also, I was learning Italian. Nowadays, I understand a lot, but speaking, it's a no-go. But as we mentioned previously, practice, and a little bit more of practice.
Yeah, so English is not a problem, but there are some countries where they really prefer to have their native language as the main language, and they see you as an outsider if you do not comply with that.
Yeah, we talked about the positive side of English connecting the globe, but sometimes it can be a bit of an easy thing to rely on and then forget about all the other languages that can be useful, for sure.
Yeah. One thing is for sure, and you both mentioned, actually speaking a local language on the market you are tapping into, it's a beauty. It is a component of natural respect to the location you are. Generally speaking, I'm big on when you are in Rome, do what the Romans do, because wherever you go, you need to adapt to the cultural narrative of specific country and location, because it is natural. You're a guest. Like somebody is coming to your house, there are specific domestic rules. An equivalent to that I do apply when we are talking about going somewhere in terms of other country and similar. So, and people do respect that, especially if you know and understand their culture, beliefs, and whatever is significant for them. So
Do you mostly network online, or do you travel to these countries from time to time?
Yeah, I definitely do travel from time to time when necessary, but simply due to my dynamics, which is pretty much crazy in terms of meetings per week and per year. Definitely, absolute majority of conversations are happening online, on Zoom, on Google Meet, on Teams, or any other alternative resource and tool we can actually use. Yeah.
Is it possible to have conversation only online without ever meeting the other person, or is it better to just have at least some casual conversation in a cafe or whatever, at least to meet them in person?
Absolutely. I was always very focused, and I do like and do prefer if we can do it in person. But sometimes, from time to time, the situation doesn't allow at the moment due to dynamics, obligations, and everything. But yeah, it's much more easier. What I definitely do practice from the early age of internationalization, and that was also, I can say, very good on a budget, was actually to open up some dialogues, open business opportunities, do the business, and after that, I always have a tendency to sit in a plane and go wherever needed or required. Especially 15 or 16 years ago, I was not in a situation or a state in which I am today, so it was hard. You do some project abroad, and travel costs and similar, and stay in that country is pretty much significant. So at that time, for me, it was much more practical to have online conversation, and after that, meet with the people in person. And it's a beautiful thing. Kind of similar thing I'm doing practicing here locally. If we are talking about business, let's move things straightforward. Online, it's fast-paced. It's very respectful about the time of the person whom we are engaging with. It's very respectful and respectful about our time. And when we meet in person, it's casual. And that is what I do prefer. And yeah, it's great because you are connecting with the people on the business level, do what is necessary from the professional standpoint, and also when you meet in person, it's great, and it is a great addition to the already pre-built relationship.
So you need to actually build connection personally. Online is just not enough, and just stays remote, basically.
Yeah, point is, I do have great relationships with some people with whom I simply never met in person. But it is a great situation if you actually can meet them alive, because it gives additional layer of substance upon the relationship you already built. So it's a great thing. It simply deepens the conversation, the relationship. I have a very simple example. One of my dear friends and business partners from the banking industry and funding. We were collaborating on he's from UK, from London. We were collaborating on interesting amount of opportunities, deals, and everything else. And we were just waiting a moment where we'll be gathering around same table. And I'll never forget, he was visiting Slovenia with his 5 friends. And I simply sat in a car, drove to Ljubljana because it was practical for him, and we were there 2 days, 3 days, goofing around, going from pub to bar, bar to pub, enjoying in conversations and everything else. And it was a great experience. And we definitely do practice that occasionally, surely dependent on the obligations he has, I have, and everything else.
When you present yourself to people, how do you know which hat to wear and which personality to put on? And is there an element of being authentic even when you're consciously switching there? Because that can be quite difficult for people.
Yeah. Personality, there is only one, and it is always out there, and it helps a lot because I'm a very conversational So definitely helps. But in terms of wearing multiple hats, I always have a tendency to focus and give respect to the individual on the other side in terms of context. So if we are talking about some general introduction, I do have a tendency to explain to the individual what we have in our portfolio in terms of activities and what is generally, if we are talking about business, overall value proposition and what we actually do. And then in future conversations, we are going a little bit deeper in terms of specific verticals and similar. What I found out, and we definitely did make an analysis upon all the contacts and communications we have, because we have very strong documentation. We have very systematic approach there. One thing is a fact: from conversation opening, from first conversation you had with an individual, you need 4 to 5 touches and conversations, additional ones, where you'll be actually diving deeper, understanding them, they understand you, and actually opening potential business opportunity if that is a key point and the point of focus. So you cannot resolve things immediately, except the recipient side and you as a giver side actually do know what is the narrative, what are the topics, and you are practically jumping on a call to close the deal. But that is very straightforward scenario engagement, which is not dominant, especially if we are talking about networking. And also one thing that I would always advise to audience, people who are listening to us or who will be listening and watching us, is that never do the hard sales, because that doesn't work. If you want to establish trustworthy relationship and partnership, you need to be a point of contact in terms of authority, pre-built relationship, and business will come along. So if you're in a hurry, don't make those mistakes. Especially the more experience people have on the other side, the more successful they are, more casual they are also. And they also gravitate towards their equivalent. So if they see somebody who is trying hard, pushing hard, doing whatever just to sell something, it's an immediate no-go. From the psychological standpoint, that was something what I fundamentally knew, because from early age, instead of reading books that I had to read in elementary school and in high school, I was reading books about psychology. So for me, it was something natural, and I was naturally driven towards that. So my first point and idea was to establish trustworthy relationship, and after that, business will come along. Some people try to negotiate to do something immediately on the spot, but that doesn't work if the stage is not specifically focused on deal conversation. So that is something what is relevant to emphasize overall.
That's excellent. I think this will go into our shorts, and I will send this in my LinkedIn DMs regularly.
Just that as an example. Yeah. So you said, yeah, you said basically this first couple of conversations, more or less just chit chat.
Yeah.
So no business, no real business, but just getting along. Do we actually get along? Do we understand each other? And also later conversations tend to go somewhere around that. You said also that you have a very systematic approach with these many weekly meetings, yearly meetings. I know I forget a couple of things that I talked about some person with. How do you actually handle that? What does the systematic approach look like?
Sure. So we went full crazy simply due to the networking, as the activity is actually our profession. In my profession, one of those hats Edita mentioned today. So I have documented entire process and all the key components and aspects relevant to build a rapport and practically trustworthy relationship. It looks, when I'm sharing that now with you, kind of like an instrument, but it's not. It is just good practice, good conversation practice, and my experience being well documented, so people do understand what to expect. And it is also control triggers and key points significant for somebody to navigate the conversations in the future. So for example, if we onboard some new individual who will be working with my company as a sales, he has everything documented. He has a system so he can actually practice the best possible practice that drove us 16 plus years from the day we started where we are now. So we documented the entire process, the system, all the key components of it. And you mentioned one significant thing, and that is actually remembering the conversation and everything. I do have a long-term memory in terms of it's being very good. Short-term, so, but it's kind of logical. But we also build our internal system that aggregates all the conversations, all the key points, all unique value propositions, all the preferences about the individual with whom we are speaking with. So wherever I need to pull out the data, it is happening in a jiffy. And all of the things I mentioned, we are now in the final stage of digitalization. We practically created our internal massive book of knowledge about our entire network. Frankly speaking, we are talking here about more than 4,600 decision makers around the globe. And with all those people, they're not an input in the table or in the database. With all these people, we had and we have active communication, and that's the point. We are always on the source of information. So, especially like Edita asked me how I do approach to the newborn conversation, and when I want to explain what I am doing. What I do in the initial run and at the early stage of conversation, I am joking around and saying that I work in flight control. But people have a tendency to understand the logic and what that truly brings, because that's it. We are always on the relevant source of information from the giver side or the recipient side, and connecting all relevant dots to the opportunities we are managing, helping, supporting. And that is also the reason why we have this 12 business verticals, because everything started from one essence, from one core, and it was growing. My big long-term idea was to build self-supportive and supportive for external factors and elements, meaning clients and customers, an ecosystem that can resolve all the relevant business pain points and challenges. If they need money, done. If they need internationalization, done. Whatever they need, we have a trustworthy relationships and partnerships across the globe. Simple example, I have some of the clients and customers and partners in the United States. Utensil production. They have two facilities, one in the United States, one in Canada, expanding in Netherlands. We have people in Netherlands, seniors, professionals who are helping and supporting them with compliance and with crazy amount of other things that are locally relevant. Also, people from Australia going to United States, people from United States going somewhere else in Europe, people from our region going to United States, Canada, and again, somewhere else. So for me, it was significant to build an ecosystem where we can utilize all the knowledge, experience, expertise we have in the pool. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Would you say that with this ecosystem, you actually expanded human possibilities, I would say so. There is this specific Dunbar number where actually you can be close and know about 150 people at the same time. But you said about really 5,000 different decision makers, which you can get the information from them and know what is going on in their lives.
Yeah. Because we built a system that supports that, and also in that respectable manner, business-wise, I'm not a solo player. If I'm the only one, an individual who is facilitating and managing that, it would be simply impossible. Only in our business development team, we have 11 people. Plus, we do rely on our external partners who are a part of our core group. So it helps a lot. For example, if I don't, or we don't necessarily have relevant contacts somewhere in some specific industry or some specific company, it's one phone call away. And that's the point. We practically productized the professional networking on very complex level. Practically, we've gathered cumulatively the business network, the opportunity generation, deal closing, opening and closing, and yeah, it was hard. It was demanding. I even have some of my friends and colleagues in a business who were asking me, Filip, why in parallel with the stuff you are doing professionally in delivering expertise service, you're also doing this. There is no money into that. I told him very frankly, it's not about money generation now. We're building something as a system in terms of legacy that can support all the individuals who are a part of the ecosystem. And that's the point. Because you as the individual, you can do only so much. Without others, you are nothing and you can achieve nothing. And that is sometimes very problematic, because in business specifically, there are people, individuals, for whom business happened. They were in the right place with the right people at the right time. But actually relying on that is betting on luck. Alternatively, you need to create a supportive system from where you can actually bring, gather, and pool and create those business opportunities that can help and support your business to be sustainable and also support others who are a part of your core. Simple example of that was now during summer season, summer vacation, roughly around 18th of August, I invited 6 of my partners, more precisely, 7 of my partners, to gather around our ecosystem to focus specifically on manufacturing logistic companies in terms of full technical, technological deployment, digitalization, robotics, automation. And all of them said yes immediately. So in few phone calls, I've gathered very significant amount of long-term players in the global game now acting as one group. That is the power of network, but primarily the power of authority and true honest relationship being previously built. Simply for the people, just on your one simple, maybe even complex question, just say yes, count on us.
Great. From what I can understand from this is the more networking you do and the deeper relationships you build, the luckier you get in business.
Yeah,
So it might just be lucky that you get something out of no relationship, but it's not really that common. And from the network, there are much more opportunities.
Yeah, and very important, what I also see, especially with people not necessarily chronologically younger, but younger in terms of networking, they are focused on short-term gain. So they're a network for the sake of building a business opportunity so they can drive an inbound traffic and bring some money on the table, which is good, which is legit. But it is also wrong, because short-term doesn't work. Whatever you're building, to be more precise, whatever Edita, Darko, and Filip are experiencing today is a result of past work. And people do have a tendency to forget it, especially those who are now temporarily in very comfortable chair. They are having a feeling, oh, that's it, I'm good. Nothing needs to happen. We don't need to push. No, 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 no. It is a snowball effect. And you need in continuity to do something what is significant for you as an individual, for your businesses, if you are a business owner, no matter we are talking about a solopreneur or 5-man band, 10-man band, or a group of 250 or 300 employees. Rules are pretty much the same. It's only a number of zeros behind, but everything else fundamentally is the same. And the more serious business deal is, people do gravitate more towards the relationship. And that is opposite of what people are trying to sell. You need to be active here and there, and that will be bringing you. Yeah, if you are resolving some smaller pain points or selling the idea of solution. But if you actually do resolve significant pain points, people will be immediately tapping into their immediate circular network to find out who the best who can help them. And that is the idea.
So to work constantly on the relationships and nurture them, not just leave them. Oh, everything will come. We know each other for years, and you didn't talk with each other for years. So yeah. You need to stay connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And it needs. Important thing is that that connections and building the connections need to be authentic. What I'm saying very often in both casual and business conversations, especially when talking with entrepreneurs, for me, always was and always will be significant is the relationship building with the individuals who think alike. I simply chose to be the entrepreneur. So majority, truly a majority of my available daytime is being focused on business. So I am being very picky with whom I am sitting with. And for me, that is an element upon which I don't have any option nor the window to compromise. It's completely compromise free. So if I'm speaking with somebody, it needs to be on the long haul, partnership, relationship, and there is no freaking chance that I'll be entering the business conversation nor any kind of deal with the individual where I don't see perspective in terms of relationship or where I see a top cap in their business, because it would be insincere if I am entering some collaboration and I know they have a chance, their life expectancy as a business is 2 to 3 years. I'm just coming to their business, entering the business to pick up some money and move forward. For me, it's a no-go. So I always reject that type of engagement. Sometimes it was very harmful business-wise for me because I was also in all this 16 plus years of entrepreneurship, there were very significant moments where I was struggling, but I was always compromise-free upon the core values I believe in, nurture, and don't have a tendency to change that. So, especially when it was the hardest possible for me, I wasn't accepting something what I was not believing into. Today, the lesser the chance. So
this is also a lesson for all of our viewers. When you were talking about long-term relationships and checking in, Nenad said hi, and Nenad was in one of our previous episodes, so that's that was very appropriate. And Samuel, who is also a long-term listener and watcher, said, be picky, which is a big lesson. Now, you mentioned those values and you mentioned 5,000 people. Do you build a radar in time to see that people are authentic and sincere? Or do you find some system also to check things how do you make sure that the people are presenting themselves in their true light?
Sure. So we, as always, do systematically approach to the things, especially where we entered in terms of narrative, a deeper conversation and some a line of collaboration. We have our own tools in terms of due diligence, online, offline, and some other tools. And yeah, that is definitely a foundation. Plus, in terms of character set and value set, mindset is something what we are actually first and foremost buying. People who are, as said, look alike in terms of values, perspectives, and everything else can happen. Also, very important thing is that during all these years, I was never only focused on people who are at least as us in terms of business actual state or above us. I was also having a big tendency in practicing it still today to have a great relationship and build great relationship with people who are even less experienced, because uh, mindset, core values, and the substance within the individual is upgradable up to some level. So we have a core foundation and you have very small wiggle room there. So I'm not interested in external or presentational elements in that terms. As said, what I am buying an individual, his values, and where I see the relationship with that individual in terms of trust, relationship, friendship. So, and the same thing we do approach and nurture for all this conversation, because we definitely reject all the potential relationships, no matter how lucrative they could possibly be, that are transactionally focused primarily. Because people who are transactionally focused, they are today here, tomorrow they are not. And when shit hits the fan, they'll be taking care only and solely of themselves. For me, it doesn't work, because I am big on respect in terms of respecting people, look-alike thinking, sharing the values with people with whom I actively collaborate. And yet it's about authenticity and honesty. And for me, that's crucial.
In one of your projects, you have something called opportunity generation, which you mentioned to us today. Because of your 12 pillars, our due diligence was quite difficult. So we asked Filip before our meeting today to tell us what he would like to share with the community. And this is something that you seem to be excited about right now. So could you tell us a few words about it?
Sure. I'll be very brief about it. So opportunity generation is practically the system that is a part of our global ecosystem, where we productized the approach and private network building. Practically within the opportunity generation as a system, we help and support businesses, as said previously, to go international scale and grow, help and support them in various resources from funding, loans, etc., but primarily being focused on private network building and opening serious business opportunities around the globe. So that is a key component and a key activity within opportunity generation. And opportunity generation as the system is also relying on other components within the group.
Great. Thank you for that. And thank you for your time. We know how precious it is. And you've mentioned it yourself. There's 5,000 people to talk to and many, many things to do. So is there something that we missed, something that we should have asked, something that you love talking about that you'd like to share for the end?
I was thinking in a past minute or two about it. I think that we've covered pretty well overall topic, and generally, if something arises in the meantime, we can easily organize a next session. So it's not a problem.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time, Filip. We know you're busy, and next meeting is waiting. How many of them do you have today? 10, 20?
No. Today is Super Legs Day. Only 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a great, relaxed day then. Thank you so much for your time, Filip. And bye.
Likewise, and see
Thank
you.
you. Take care.
Bye.